Cheers, everybody, and welcome to the Driver Recruiting Happy Hour podcast. My name is Darin Williams. I am the president of CDLjobs.com. With me, as always, is the president of 10-4 Recruiting and a man that I assume takes Halloween way too seriously, Matt Beach. Beach, are you a Halloween guy?
I am a big time Halloween guy until my stuff gets stolen. So I don't know if you heard about that or not. I got a couple of my blow-ups got stolen.
Wait, whoa. You have blow-ups for Halloween?
Massive ones, big ones. Big.
And somebody stole them?
Yeah. So last year it was more closer to the road, and so they just jumped out and
this has happened more than once.
Oh yeah. And so this year, the same one, the only one they got this year was the one that they targeted last year, and they came up to the house, actually cut the line. They knew where the lights were, where the cameras were, and they just hunkered down and cut the string. I mean, they knew exactly what they had to have. I mean, I had it bolted down, like with screwdrivers and this other platform and all that. They took it all out, and they went throughout the neighborhood and took a ton. Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Well, I was thinking maybe it was your neighbors.
No.
They're not that big and lighted up.
Well, I mean, it's like, look, come and roll my yard. Yeah, roll my yard all day long. Bring toilet paper, because back in the days, and nobody does.
I'm going to my next trip to Chattanooga.
You should. Nobody does that. Nobody rolls a yard anymore. And I was talking to a person, and I'm like, my dad, we had tons of trees. I mean, our yard was like a Picasso for anybody wanting to go and roll it, right? But Dad loved it. He didn't care. He would actually sit there and watch them roll the yard, not go and scare them away or anything, because in his mind, he was, this is just free toilet paper. I mean, why? No joke. I mean, this is a guy who came up from the mountain who had an outhouse, and would go through Superman going, yeah, I'm fixing, guess where you're going after reading Sears Roebuck. I mean, he detailed well anyway, but still, we would come, like, wake up that next morning, you'd go to the restroom, and there'd just be mounds of toilet paper right next to the toilet block with sticks and leaves and all that. It's like, who would throw this away? Tell your friends coming back. I ain't never had about a damn thing of roll of toilet paper ever.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't want to point fingers, and I don't want to cause any controversies, but we've got a guy from Chattanooga on the podcast today who, as far as I know, hasn't said where he was this weekend. So maybe the director of student recruiting at Covenant Transportation, Doug Smith. Doug, where were you this weekend? Were you anywhere near Beach's place?
I may have driven by.
Yeah, it may have.
Before or after the Halloween decorations were gone?
I don't recall.
There you go.
But here's what you get here so I made that post on Next. Have y'all ever, Doug, are you on the Nextdoor app?
The which one?
Nextdoor app.
Yeah.
Do you follow me on Nextdoor?
No, because you pop up everywhere anyways.
Oh, well, you got to see on Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a whole new, I mean, it is Nextdoor, not to knock it, but it's a bunch of just old people like, get off my yard. You know what I mean? And so I have created some of the most craziest stuff. Like I photoshopped a chicken sitting right next to me in my truck. And I said, look, I just picked up a chicken in the neighborhood, and people just went ballistic. Like, we can't have chickens. We can't have this. They're not supposed to be chickens. But anyway, I did that on Nextdoor. And of course, everybody has to tell you, well, what you should have done.
Yep.
Well, what you need is more cameras. And what you need are 2 barking dogs, which I've got down here.
Yeah, they're barking at that damn chicken.
I've got them all. That's the thing. They didn't bark a single, and I let them out. They in the living room, and I just imagine them just sitting there in the window like, well, what are they taking that for? That sucks.
Is that the peanut butter box?
Yeah. Well, okay. And then not even wake us up in there, just lay back down. Like yellow.
What would you value this setup at? I mean, were you talking $100 or $1,000 or somewhere in the middle?
Couple hundred. It's enough. The policeman
year over year.
The police
year over year, it's a couple hundred year over year.
Yeah.
I mean, how long have you been accumulating this?
He was like, do you want to report? And I was like, yeah. Daggum right, I do. I want to prosecute. Anyway.
Well, I didn't, I did not know that. I didn't mean to bring up a bad subject.
You
Now I
did.
got you feeling bad.
Yeah, you did.
Now I got you feeling bad. So that's a great time to bring in Doug. He can take the brunt of your displeasure. Because again, not pointing fingers, but Doug doesn't have an excuse of where he was this weekend. May or may not have driven by your house.
No, I'd give anything if he came over though.
Do what?
I'd say I'd give anything if you just come over and visit.
Well, okay.
That's it.
We could have done this live.
This is a man that I have seen who's never been like, he's always this. He's always got something to talk about. And then now he's just like, oh, Doug.
Yeah, well.
Well, to be fair, I just met Doug and I'm accusing him of stealing your property. So
that's true.
Maybe we should rewind a little bit. Well, Doug, you're getting it's got to be a busy time for you, huh? I mean, always, I would assume, but sneaking in here towards the year end, trying to fill student openings at a place like Covenant. Got to be a busy day every day, huh?
Busy day every day. The goalposts move, the field changes, but our team is top notch, and we've got we have full classes every week, and we're just I can't express enough about the quality of driver that we've been able to start bringing in from our school partnerships as well as just out there. And I've spent a couple weeks ago, I was out in Tulsa with the NAPF TDS folks, the publicly funded schools, and talking with them. And then also this week we'll be out in down in New Orleans for CVTA for the privately funded. And it with a lot of everything that's been said about the education programs and the formats. I mean, the quality of student that we're seeing is going up, and we're hearing that from our operations too.
That's interesting. That's good.
Yeah,
real good. I laugh because not at you, but when it's the Alphabet Super Trucking Organization. The
Alphabet Super Trucking. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Which I love. Mark, I haven't seen Mark.
Weeks of practice to get NAPF.
I started pronouncing it
Naptis. Yeah,
and they got mad. They're like, it's not Naptis. I'm like, okay. Nationally accredited funded public treasurer school. Good. They're good. Good. How many schools are under the NAPF TDS?
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, there's 7 or 8 regions. They divide the country into different regions, and there's quite a few. So mostly the community colleges and trade schools, things like that.
Now, are the community colleges and the actual schools themselves, I mean, are they still have that distance where the community colleges or your ones publicly funded, do they have to be like 6 to 8 weeks still program, or do some of them still have they narrowed them down to like kind of being more competitive with your privately owned schools where they're 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, so you do have your traditional semester length 10 to 12 week schools doing up towards 360 hours, but you do have some programs that they've brought in to do certificate programs similar to it, where they are the 3 to 4 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks, 6 week programs. So there's not many out there, but there are starting to be some of those out there. The community colleges, and they've been able to source funding that allows them to not have to go through traditional financing or student aid or anything like that. They can find ways to do that and then still complete that program in 3 to 4 weeks. Just with all the publicly funded schools, it's funding, and the upfront funding is where the challenges sit.
Nice.
Well, Doug, it's kind of a recurring theme that we also hear when we talk to people who are dealing in the school world, even including the schools, are the inability to get trainers, whether they are trainers in the school or somebody to take that new graduate student out. Are you guys experiencing any of that as well? So
we have had conversations with schools where they are looking for trainers. They're backlogged for students to come in 2-3 months down the road, and they're like, if we could add one trainer, I could bring in X amount of students as always. We've got our number of trainers that we have, and some have left to go to schools and be home all the time and either do a part-time gig doing training on nights and weekends or actually going in for a full-time position. So there still remains a trainer shortage out there, whether you're at the school or even at the carrier. Covenant and Landair have not really felt those effects so much, but it's been very well managed. I'll say that.
And do you have your own school there at Covenant?
We don't. We do not have our own CDL school. It is something that we continually look at. Probably once a year we'll take a look and try to read the tea leaves and see if it's worth that investment or anything, or if it's a matter of just being able to continue to grow and nurture the relationships that we've got across the country with some of our premier school partners.
Yeah, it seems to me that maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it seems like there's been a decrease in those, like the carriers that used to have their own training programs. Am I wrong? Didn't there used to be more? No,
I don't know. I mean, I think you still have, I think there's been probably more closer partnership with the schools on that
instead of doing it. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Then you've got and I think you have several that do I'm going to brand this our program, and it
That's
looks
something
like
else.
it's a carrier school, but it's really the actual school itself. And there's like, well, over here in this trailer,
Yeah,
Yeah.
way down on the corner of the property.
over here,
Yeah.
this double wide, over here, very, very over there. Don't cross that line because this is where our students are, and this is where. Yeah, I mean, hey, it works. It has been, but yeah, that would be an interesting question. I would say, maybe not many, but still, I think there's still several out there.
Yeah, and I think what you've seen here recently, and I'll probably just say within the last 6 months or so, is you're starting to find carriers that are pulling back a little bit, from those we'll say, for hire schools, where they will go in and if the carrier is recruiting the driver or the student and then sending them there, and they're like, hey, here's a group of students, train them and send them back to us. I think you're seeing a pivot a little bit in the way that the market is viewing that. I know a couple schools that I've had conversations with that had those agreements or contracts in place that we'll just say are no longer not, I'm not gonna say valid, but they're no longer in being fully endorsed for that right now. So it's kind of everybody's back to the school is operating, and carriers are saying, hey, if you can send people our way, great. But the carriers themselves are not so much directly recruiting drivers, sending there and then coming back. Now you do have your name brand, your carrier brands out there that have their own academies and own schools. And those, I think, those are out there, but for the most part, I think you're starting to see some pull back because again, the freight market is dictating, what happens in the number of drivers that are hired.
Doug, what you do before trucking? Before I met you, so Darin, I met Doug at Covenant Transport.
Yep.
And he was the most upbeat guy running up and down the halls, and he'd come in my office and it'd be like this. I'd freak out a little bit, And but what you do prior to coming over to the trucking side?
So before I got in the truck, so I've been at Covenant 5.5 years now, and
has it been that long?
Yeah. So July of 2017.
I didn't think you'd make it, and look at you.
I know, here I am, and I'm in recruiting. So my background,
but that hairline keeps going back.
It does.
That's the recruiting hairline.
My background, I've got 2 decades in training and talent development. So I've been a sales trainer, customer service, leadership development, all kinds over the years. And wherever I've gone, I always wound up gravitating towards a trainer role or an education role. I started my professional career in restaurant business, was a foodie for 15 years, sold cars for about 6 or 7 years.
Hold on. You were a foodie?
Foodie, man. Yeah, well, food and beverage.
So did you have your own podcast, or did you have a blog you did?
No, man. I was turning steaks, cooking over fire before podcasts were a thing.
I
before it was
remember.
cool.
Yeah.
When I was at
Well,
Heartland Express, when we were trying to fill dispatch roles, right? Operations, the guys in the trenches, dispatching trucks, brutal, busy, just a hell of a job to have. We found people transitioning from the restaurant business
Mhm.
were fantastic at it because they thought it was slow and simple and methodical. And I mean, that's, yeah, you got to be a different breed to be in that
I'll
restaurant.
tell anybody, you know, and I look at this, you know, I think everybody, it's the old adage. I think everybody should work in the restaurant business for at least 6 months, and understand what it's like to serve, to cook, to be under that. But when we are looking to fill positions in our recruiters, you know, I tend to be biased and lean a little bit towards those that were in the hospitality business, just because you have to naturally be good at sales. You have to naturally be good at customer service. You have to like people. Well, maybe you don't have to like people, but you got to look like you like people.
You have to fake it.
Yeah, and put that smile on and go to work. And you know, we've had a lot of great successful recruiters here over the year and a half, almost 2 years that I've been here, and a few that I've hired have had that restaurant experience, and they've turned out to be great.
I had to tell you, so you may not know this about me, but I had this a long time ago, and I created I was going to be a food blog guy, and it was called Matt Eats Chat. Right. And I go into this different, and I do a food review and all this and everything else. Well, I came up, some buddies of mine from high school I hadn't seen forever, and we show up, and one of them just looks me up and down. And but one of the guy goes, "So how's Matt Eats Chat going?" And the other guy, who was just like your typical true best friend, goes, "Matt Eats Chat? You look like Matt ate chat." My God. And it was at that moment I went, "I'm done."
Yeah,
Might be a bad career
I went back
choice.
to it, and I lost 45 pounds. Like, that was bad. Like, it was a moment in my life where, and you just needed that one person to say that. I didn't eat. We were at Tremont Tavern. I didn't eat nothing. I didn't eat a burger. I didn't have anything. I was just like, I'm done. Thank you.
I'm good.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so how long? 5.5 years at Covenant. What'd you do before recruiting though? I don't remember. What was it? Was it in the marketing side, or what was it?
So I was actually recruited to come in. The guy that used to be, he was over continuous improvement or process management, process improvement, was a previous customer of mine. I used to sell e-learning and training sessions, and he happened to be one of my customers, and we stayed in touch over the years. And he wound up calling me and said, "Hey, we have identified a gap at Covenant to be able to come in and build and stand up a corporate training department." So I didn't do anything with our professional drivers, but I did, you know, with our inside staff, our corporate shop, and so on. But I worked in that, and then there was a little bit of a transition with our communications team, and I was asked, "Hey, Doug, until we figure this out, would you mind keeping an eye on our communications team?" And up until about 2 weeks ago, that lasted for about 3 years, and I kept an eye on them. And so I had corporate communications. I also have done a lot with what we've branded as Covenant in the Community, which is our community service and you know, going out, serving opportunities, whether it's at the food bank or working with junior achievement in our schools, different food drives that we do, and then also just activities, American Heart Association, different you know, things like that. So I've worn a lot of hats here over the last few weeks. We've had some rearranging, all good things that is going to allow me to really focus on our student recruiting program, our school partnerships, and being able to just continue to do what we can to meet the need of Covenant and Land Airs, and as this crazy freight market continues to roll on down the road. So
I know you love to read books. How many books you think you read a year?
A year, I do 4 or 5 a month. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I mean, I'm an audiobook guy, so I go through Audible quite extensively, but there's always the perennial favorites, right?
Can you I would love to be an Audible voice for one of your books. Just be listening to it, all of a sudden, I know that voice.
I know that voice. Yeah.
And
You could probably do that, Beach.
He opened the door. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, maybe not.
Now, what's up?
I'm not an Audible guy. I don't have the attention span. If I don't have that thing in front of me, I have to be focused on it. I wouldn't retain anything, I don't think, through Audible.
I like Audibles, especially on a long trip.
Yeah.
Plug it in and go.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I've got a 45-minute commute, and so I'll get an hour and a half of a book, every day. Listen to it on 1.5 or 1.7 speed, and I could blow through an hour of the book in about 40 minutes. And but if I do find a book that I like, I will buy the copy, and then I will read it and do the same thing there. And I'll
after you've done the Audible,
yeah,
and you read it again.
absolutely.
What's a good book like right now? If you had to say, I know this is on the spot, but one good book for, let's say, someone in the recruiting, truck driving industry, trucking, whatever. I mean, just what's a one that you said this one would definitely help you out?
And
if you say seven
habits of
habits,
no, it's not a Covey
no
book. It's not a Covey book, and it's not Jim Collins' Good to Great. It's a book. It's John Acuff's brand new book. It came out earlier this year, late last year, called Soundtracks. And the basis of the book is how when we listen, like we're listening to the radio or something or Spotify, and a song comes on, you can go back to that moment, right? And you just have these memories that come up, whether it's high school, college, previous job, relationships, whatever. And so that's the soundtrack. And so what I found it applicable here is when I'm talking with our recruiters is when they hear the same thing from a driver, that soundtrack clicks in of, oh gosh, here we go again. They're going to want this. They're going to want that. And the whole thing is you've got to scratch the record, and you've got to change how you approach that thought. You've got to change that from a negative soundtrack to a positive soundtrack. This looks like a person that I might be able to help. This sounds like someone that could benefit from the trucking industry, or could just benefit from coming to work at Covenant. So changing the soundtracks in our lives. But it's a book by John Acuff, and that's the book that I would recommend right now that comes to mind.
We all met John, right? Like 2 years ago, was he at the featured speaker at the recruiting retention conference?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, he may have been. Yeah, I wasn't there.
I think afterwards, John. I think John actually may have written a book specific to driver recruiting. Am I thinking of the right guy, Beach?
Oh, completely different guy.
Oh, glad I could chime in and help then.
Yeah, completely different. Yeah.
I'll just sit here in silence for the rest.
He's written a lot.
If you guys need anything.
Yeah, no, he's written a lot of great books. He wrote a book called Start, which is start doing the stuff that you need to do, right, to achieve your goals. And then he also wrote a follow-up book to that called Finish. And Finish was, you've started doing all the work. What do you got to do to finish this goal? What do you got to do to move to the next thing? So, but he's Nashville based author, and as he's a good guy. He got a great family. He and I went to school together, back years and years ago, but but yeah.
Like high school or college?
College. We went to college. So
do you read Ryan Holiday at all?
I'm sorry?
Do you read Ryan Holiday at all?
Nope, the name doesn't sound familiar.
My son just turned me on to him. I'm reading one of his books now.
H-O-L-L-I?
John Acuff. I thought maybe he was the guy at the recruiting and retention conference. Not him?
I don't think so. I know who you're talking about, but no.
But it wasn't John Acuff.
No, John Acuff was there, but not the different guy.
Okay, but John Acuff was there one year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your shirt is making me nervous. I don't know why, but I just feel like if you've got a cup of coffee around or anything, please.
Like it's gonna fall off, or
no, what it is? It's like it's a beautiful white shirt.
White shirt, yeah.
It's making.
I'm very careful.
I bought a white hoodie, and I wore it twice, and then I'm walking walking on Friday night into a restaurant, and my wife's like, "What is all over the back of your shirt?" I'm like, "I have no idea." And it's just like nice gray stain. And so we tried all weekend to get the stain out of it, but apparently it was there, and I washed it, kind of cooked it in. So yeah, it's now on the bottom of the closet in the corner.
Now it's a yard shirt.
I had a white hoodie on. It was, gosh, my wife was like, "Hey, did you have for lunch? You have a hot dog?" I was like, yeah. She was like, "They have ketchup on it?" I'm like, "Oh, a little bit." And mustard? I'm like, yeah. Apparently you didn't have a paper towel. It was on the it was mustard on this sleeve.
Recently, or were you food blogging for Matt Eats
Matt Eats Hot Dog?
That was the hot dog day of Matt Eats Chat. If we were to go look up Matt Eats Chat right now, does it still reside out there in the Webiverse?
It's got to. While you're asking him another question, I am going to look.
You're going to look that up,
and we're going to take his word for it. So
no, I'm going to show you that it would be. It's 2 T's.
Doug, what's a day in the life, a day in the work life of Doug Smith look like? Obviously, other than the 45-minute commute.
I mean, you
spend your day talking to schools a lot.
I do. I talk to schools. I talk to our drivers. A lot of the time I'm talking to our team, and just, making sure that they have the tools and that they're getting what they need in order to get drivers, scheduled to be able to come in, and that those drivers are prepared for what they've got to do. But yeah, so I'll talk to half a dozen schools a day. I'll talk to probably twice as many drivers that just have a question on something that's going on, or some reason their call was elevated or escalated up to me. And some of those conversations are pleasant. Some of them are not. That goes for the schools too. And it's just, but it's for me, I think the word, and Matt and I have talked about this over the last year and a half, is the word for me in anything that we do, whether it's with the driver, whether it's with schools, is a partnership. There's so many carriers out there that just expect for things to be given to them because we're the carrier, because we're this. We are right now at the very beginning and moving into a very extraordinary time where the carriers are really going to have kind of the say so. They're in the driver's seat, pardon the pun. But I think that being able to have true partners, and that we are there to come alongside our schools and help them be successful, and help their staff be successful, help their graduates be successful. But at the same time, they also have to, it's got to be reciprocal. They've got to take ownership and an understanding that we need help too. And there's certain things that we need. I don't need people that you're just blowing through a CDL program to come up here and then they fail. One thing that I've really focused on over the last few months is having our schools continue the conversation, or even begin the conversation, that you're not just entering into an industry for another job. You're actually, you're moving into a new lifestyle. Being a trucker is a different lifestyle that people are like, I go drive a truck. Yeah, you probably can, but can you be an OTR trucker? Can you be a team driver? Can you do everything that goes along with it? And so that's where we're looking at the education part on that side, so it lines up with what we've got. And so again, and with the drivers becoming partners with us, and understanding that it is a profession. It's not an amateur hour. Anybody can. I mean, you can get a CDLA and you can come do the work, but to really come in and be a professional driver, to be safe, and for all those things, we need the school's help with that.
I found a video. Well, no, let me back up. I didn't find a video. I found a picture. And it's a picture of this. It is a deep fried moon pie.
Deep fried
moon. Oh, Lord. Well, no wonder you weighed 270 pounds. You're food blogging deep fried moon pies?
Fried one.
Who didn't stop you? Somebody that said, hey, Matt, you shouldn't do this.
It had cherry like that.
I know you don't have that voice in your head, but somebody nearby.
Well, I think
Should have
I think you had the devil on one that was like, eat it all. Then you had the angel on the other was like, just
Do
a-
it.
Just
Yeah.
just one little bite. Just one.
Go ahead and do it. Oh, Lord, a deep fried moon pie. Well, that's a really good way to end this thing, man. A deep fried moon pie. Doug's got work to do. You've got to go find your Halloween decorations.
I do.
Probably going to go home. I don't feel well. It's been a long day.
You're
We're all
going
struggling.
to go home
We're
and
all
just
struggling.
walk up, stand up, and walk out to the left, and
Done. Well, I got to wait. I might not be wearing pants, so I got to wait till we're off.
No, he's gonna walk outside on the front patio and flip the switch and blow up his brand new Halloween blow up thing.
There it is.
my new Halloween decorations.
Yeah.
All
Nice.
right. Well, hey, Doug, thanks for coming in and playing along. We appreciate
Dan,
it,
thank
man.
you.
And have a safe trip this week. And we'll talk to you soon. Everybody else, thanks for listening. Be safe and keep on trucking.
All right. See you guys. Thanks, Doug.
Yep, thank you.